Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Dr. Daniel over here, a retired medical doctor who is very passionate and interested in poultry farming. So guys, these chickens we have over here are Kuroilers. Kuroilers, if you don't know what they are birds, they are dual-purpose birds which were originally bred from India, but then they were shipped all over the whole world. We have them very commonly here in Uganda because people like them. They grow super quickly. You know, in 12 weeks, if it's an F1 generation, it could have put on 3 kilograms, not over 2 kilograms, 5 kilograms by the time they are, you know, 5-6 months. They can even get up to 5 kilograms. And then they also lay quite a number of eggs. So it's a good breed of birds. You can see this one over here. This is probably one of the smaller ones on the farm, yeah, because you can see its comb. It's probably not as big, you know, and the body is probably not very big, but these weigh more than my birds. Now, these birds are probably around 10-12 weeks. My birds are around 18-19 weeks. So there is an obvious difference. These ones are probably 2 months younger. Not probably. Actually, they are 2 months younger, but they weigh heavier because they grow quicker, they consume food quicker. Now, these are my dad's birds. They are an F2 generation, but these birds came from an F1 generation. My dad had commercial Kuroilers before, an F1 generation, and then these were the chicks that came out of that. So this house, if you know, I built this chicken house on my dad's land. This is not my land, it's his land. This is the lower floor of my chicken house. Actually, up here we have my layers. We have the layers up here. In a very short time, probably over the next 10 or so days, the birds are going to be getting away from here. My dad is taking his birds away because they're almost reaching maturity, so he's going to be selling them off for meat. So ideally, these birds can be kept for both meat and eggs. But this time, my dad has kept them for the meat. I advised him not to keep them for the eggs because Kuroilers naturally are not like the most prolific layers. My layers over there, those are called the Tetra SL, can lay up to 330 eggs a year. You know, Tetra SL, the Issa Browns, they can lay up to 330 eggs a year. These, the most prolific of these, would lay only 180 eggs a year, which is not terrible compared to the local birds. You know, the local birds would probably give you 120 or 100 eggs every year. This is 180 eggs a year, and that's really good. But then this is an F2 generation, guys. This is an F2 generation, so they'll never be as prolific as the F1 generation. So these would probably give you maximum 130, 120 eggs a year, which is not, you know, effective if you're considering putting in money and keeping them around and only giving 120 eggs a year. It just wouldn't make sense. So the ideal thing would be to keep them for their meat, which is what he's actually doing at the moment. So the birds have put on weight right now. Soon he's actually going to be selling them. So the other thing I've noticed is that compared to my chickens, these birds are not loud. My layers over there are loud, like really, really loud. When you're inside there, they're just making noise for you. These are generally quiet birds. The only sound I notice is when they are pecking each other. These are more ferocious birds. You know, they have their beaks on. The beaks were not trimmed. So once in a while they are fighting, pecking themselves, and because of that you hear that, you know, irritating sound once in a while. But they are generally more calm birds. My layers would be pecking my tripod over here. You know, they would be pecking it. I would just be hearing the entire time. Here it's quiet. It's like they don't even notice it. They're not curious. They don't give a damn about it. So they are generally more different birds. So that was it, guys. Just a quick look at the Kuroilers on the farm. They are growing up well. I like how they have turned up. You know, they are put on the weight. The weight is not perfectly uniform because because they're an F2 generation, like clearly they would just never do as well as an F1 generation. The genes are all mixed, they are closer to their parents than they are to the F1 generation. So because of that, you'll find some that are quite small, and then you'll find those ones that are really, really, really big. So that's the difference we are having here. Otherwise, thanks guys for watching. My dad has been feeding them on commercial feed, and these, he has had to feed them a little bit more for them to get to this weight, because they're not an F1 generation, so they don't convert the feed into weight as well as possible. So they should probably have been reaching, let's say if they were to have reached, let's say 1 kilogram at, let's say 6 weeks, these ones probably reached at around 8 weeks, because they don't convert the food as well. So that's why it's really important for you to keep an F1 generation if you're keeping them commercially. If you're going to be free ranging the birds, it doesn't really matter, because you don't care. You're not paying them for the food, you're not putting in any money really, you're just letting them free range. So if it takes 1 year for them to get to the target weight, it doesn't really matter. But if you're investing in your money for the feeds and everything, then that's really important. You want them to convert that feed into weight as quickly as possible, and that's why it's important for you to have an F1 generation.